Now, another school year started this weekend in Afghanistan, but teenage girls were forced to stay at home. The Taliban government has barred girls and women from secondary schools and university in Afghanistan, the only government in the world to do so. The BBC's South Asia correspondent Yugita Lemay reports.
As a new school year begins, Afghan women out on the streets again. Risking violence and detention, they are marching for teenage girls who've been denied this, the most basic of human rights: going to school, meeting friends, getting an education. Look what it's doing to them. When I see my brother going to school, I feel sad and broken, says Tamanna. He used to say, "I won't go without you." I'd hug him and tell him I'd join later. I had hoped the Taliban would change their minds. Almost every Afghan girl we've spoken to has broken down within minutes of talking about school. Habiba says she doesn't believe Taliban claims that the closure is temporary. These girls used to be in the same class. Occasionally, they forget their grief when they reminisce about school life, how they pranked a new teacher or joked in drama class. Education has never come easy. Mahtab was injured in a school bombing that killed more than 80 before the Taliban took over, but she was determined to study.
Life has no meaning without education. I think death would be better. If the restrictions on women get more and more intense, I don't think this life is worth living.
With each day that goes by, the hopes they had are fading. Yugita Lemay, BBC News.
Well, Yugita joins us now from Mumbai. Yugita, are the girls that you spoke to able to get any kind of education at home or privately, even if it's underground, effectively?
Well, a really small fraction of girls in Afghanistan are able to go online and try to continue their studies. There are people who are running secret schools, so they're often, in the basement or hidden away from the Taliban government. But, this is really a very sort of tiny fraction of people. It isn't... Afghanistan's also in an economic crisis right now, so it's not possible for a lot of families to actually spend money on getting an internet connection or getting books or things that they might have earlier gotten free at a regular public school. And the reason, these girls, when we ask them, do you believe Taliban claims that the closure is only temporary? And the reason they say no is because you've just got to look at the context of what's happened in the country in the past 6 to 8 months. The restrictions on women increasing. In November, when we were there, public places like parks, gyms, swimming pools, women were barred from that. In December, a crushing blow was delivered when female students were told that they can't go to university anymore. And now women are not being allowed to work in domestic or international NGOs except in the health sector. So given all of that, the secondary school ban was the first thing that happened literally a month after the Taliban seized power in 2021. But given all of that's happened now, hopes of schools or universities reopening are really fading.
And in terms of, the long-term prospects of these girls, where does that leave them? Because if you have, even one generation who is not educated, that affects their ability to work, as well as obviously we're seeing the sort of huge distress that we're seeing in your report.
And it's not just education. If you do not have female doctors and female nurses, health is going to suffer, because in Afghanistan, women would usually, when they go to a hospital, prefer to speak to a female doctor or a female nurse. So, it isn't just about studies. It is about their access to health, their right to a life as well. What we know, what's quite clear when we speak to Taliban leaders, is that there is a division within the Taliban government. There is a section that believes that girls should be allowed to study. But so far, what we are seeing is that even if that section believes it, and if they're making efforts towards it, those have not yielded results.